Let everyone in. Start Okay,
Even if it's someone on an acting basis.
Right.
I'll let in Andrew Martelli.
Lunch is good. That'd be best.
Okay, they can hear us now.
Yeah, we're live. Hello, everyone. Call this meeting to order of the NVCOG. First matter I'd like to address is we need to amend the agenda under number 2 CNVMPO to add item C, resolution 2023. Do I have a motion to that effect?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. So now we'll return to the regular meeting agenda. Commencement of the meeting, let's all please rise for the pledge. Mayor Hess, please lead it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call.
Rick, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I missed a lot coming in, so I'm going to try and get this from the agenda. If you're remote, please unmute yourself and respond. From the city of Ansonia, we are joined today by proxy Kurt Miller.
Who?
West.
Gets 2 votes, right?
At least you made this meeting.
Welcome.
Save me a Brooklyn donut, please.
2 votes because we haven't seen you in so long.
From the town of Beacon Falls, First Selectman Smith, who's with us, I believe, on the phone. Richard?
Yes.
He is virtual.
All right.
Okay. From the town of Bethlehem, First Selectman Sorty could not join us today. From the town of Bristol, I believe we have Ray Rogozinski, the alternate.
I have not seen it.
No, okay, no one from Bristol yet. Mayor Caggiano's not here. He was marked as tentative, right?
Right.
Okay. From the town of Cheshire, we're joined by Andrew Martelli.
Morning.
Andrew. City of Derby, Mayor Zekin.
Sure.
From the town of Middlebury, First Selectman St. John.
Here.
From the borough of Naugatuck, Mayor Hess.
Here.
We are expecting from the town of Oxford, First Selectman Temple. He should be joining us. Town of Plymouth, Mayor Kilduff.
Here.
From the town of Prospect, we have Mayor Chatfield online.
Here, I'm visible.
All right, Mayor, thank you. From the town of Seymour, is Rory on the line? Okay, there's an event going on in the Lower Valley, and First Selectwoman Dragonis cannot join us. I am the proxy for Seymour today.
I'll cover Seymour too, Rick, for old time's sake.
You may hold 2 proxies if you wish. I probably prefer it if you do. So I'll mark Miller for Seymour. All right. From the city of Shelton, I believe we have Mayor Loretti on the phone.
Mark. He is here. Okay.
Yeah. If you want to unmute at any time, Mayor, it's *6. Okay. But we'll mark you as present for now. From town of Southbury, do we have anyone from the town of Southbury? Okay. From the town of Thomaston, First Selectman Moan.
Right here.
Chairing the meeting today. Thank you, sir. Mayor O'Leary had a late cancellation. From the town of Watertown, I don't anyone? And then from the town of Wolcott, Mayor Dunn.
Here.
And we have anyone from the town of Woodbury today? Is Bill William Gresta with us? Or First Selectman Woman Perkinson? Okay, we're also joined today by Lou Mangini from Congresswoman Deloro's office. Hello, good to see you. Jonathan Farino from Eversource. I'm sorry, Jonathan, if you use Brigno, I apologize. I'm Italian, so it's going to be Farino. We're also joined by, we should be joined by Drew Backlick. Is Drew on the line?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Okay, and then from Avangrid, I believe we have Sarah Walt in the room. Sarah. And anyone else that I've missed who's present online.
Rory from Seymour joining.
Roy from Seymour?
Rory.
Rory, okay. So Rory is here representing.
Boy,
Townsend.
you got 3 votes from Seymour.
No, Miller's out.
Oh, Miller's out, okay.
Unacceptable.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum of both bodies.
Thank you, Rick. At this time, is there any public comment? Anyone out in the public? Any of these other well announced, but non-members who would like to speak? Sarah, please.
Hello, thank you. So yes, my name is Sarah Wall. I'm a community and government relations specialist with Avangrid, which is the parent company for United Illuminating, Southern Connecticut Gas, and Connecticut Natural Gas. I just wanted to introduce myself to all of you. I believe some of you are in our service territory and may work with Antonetta Cotton, who's the key account manager. So she and I are sort of a partnership on the same team. And I'm engaged in a lot of research, outreach in our service area to let our customers, your constituents, know about a lot of the programs that we offer. As the cost of supplies are really going up for the winter time, we're really trying to work with the Public Utilities Regulatory Authority, PURA, to spread the word about some of our programs. So I'd love to speak with you all after you have a few minutes. I've got some cards with me too, and I would love to follow up with you over email to get the word out and help out some of your constituents in this challenging energy time. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone here who would like, or certainly she's going to be here after the meeting and could be most meet with any of you. So
Can I ask a question at the meeting, because I'd like to have all my counterparts.
Sure.
We seem to be, we're an Eversource. We're in the middle grades in the Eversource area. And it's been my experience, we've got gas lines that crisscross the whole community, trying to get, even though we provide them all the revenue that they would need, their expansions have been zero. And apparently there's a big pushback from the state side on expanding gas service into these areas. I personally think that that's totally uncalled for. You have a, and that's all we get. They talk, we signed up, everybody signed up. Nobody does nothing. And the gas line's sitting right there. What? Can somebody please explain? This is the same case in all your communities. Anybody that's serviced by Eversource, you're experiencing the same problem. Okay, and I wouldn't be that's not any different with Avangrid.
Yes,
You're being discouraged from extending gas services to people who desperately need it.
yeah.
Okay,
Personally, Mayor, I completely agree with you.
Okay.
The incentives have.
it's the only point I wanted to make.
Sure.
That is one of the, I cannot believe the amount of money. Yes.
How do we know it's political in nature?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's political or not, but it needs to be at the top of our agenda that this needs to stop, okay?
And we need to convince them that gas is not, natural gas is not evil.
Yeah.
And that is unfortunately the perception right now
Well,
by many of the.
well, we need to change their mind.
I wouldn't, but that's where we stand. Okay, moving right on to item number 2. This will be about CNVMPO voting members on this only. So item number A, approval of CNVMPO resolution 2023-02. Rich Donovan, please.
Yes, good morning and thank you. So as is true every year, we are being asked to adopt the 2023 safety performance measure targets. It is one of a series of targets that the Connecticut Department of Transportation sets and that each MPO endorses. We do have the option to set our own targets. However, given Connecticut's current stance of setting aggressive targets for safety, we as staff recommend adoption of the state targets. Rich, if you can go one more slide. Here are the targets for this year as well as for the past several years. Even though 2022 is on track to be a bit of a more dangerous year on our roadways, the targets for 23 are going to be kept the same. By committing to these targets, the region is saying that we will continue to do work on our projects and on our long-term planning to achieve these and reduce fatalities and serious injuries on our roadways. This was brought up and reviewed by the TTAC this past week, and TTAC members present voted to endorse these targets as well.
So move, Prospect.
Thank you, Bob. I have a motion to approve the resolution.
What does that do?
202. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Pete Hess. Any further discussion on this matter? Hearing none, call vote. The CNVMPO members,
You can just call
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Moving right along. So next is item B, approval of 2023 TIP amendment. And this will be Kevin Ellis, please.
Thank you. Good morning. So we have two TIP amendments, and this is the first one. This project is a corridor study along US Route 6 in Woodbury. This study is being led by us here at NVCOG. The study will be performed to assess the safety conditions of the corridor and to look for potential safe roadway and pedestrian safety improvements along the corridor. The total cost of the study will be $200,000 with federal contributions of $160,000, state contributions of $20,000, and local contributions of $20,000, which is the 10% match from Woodbury. So as you can see on your screen, the recommended motion is to adopt the resolution. I'll take any questions.
So move,
Just-
Chatfield.
I'm sorry, who moved?
Chatfield.
Chatfield.
Okay, thank you, Bob. We'll
Second.
take a second, then we'll have a discussion. Please, Rick.
Second.
Okay. Did you, I recognize the second. Thank you.
Okay, I just wanted to note that first Selectman Perkinson is on hold.
Oh, okay, very good. Is there any further discussion on this measure? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Item number C, which we added most recently, resolution 2023 -04. Thank you, Rick. Kevin?
Yes, thank you. So this second TIP amendment is in Waterbury. This is Water Phase 2. Waterbury recently received a $23,100,000 grant from the RAISE grant to complete their Tiger project. This will be Phase 2 of the program. This will be extending the Naugatuck River Greenway north up to West Main Street along the Naugatuck River, and they'll also be constructing electric vehicle charging stations at the train station. The total cost will be $28,875,000, with the RAISE grant providing a $23,100,000. The city has committed to the non-federal share of $5,775,000. And as you can see, the recommended motion is to adopt the resolution, and I'll take any questions.
So move, Prospect.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
And a second?
Second.
Tommy?
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on this matter. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. NVCOG administrative items. Approval of minutes. Has anybody had an opportunity to review those and make a recommendation?
So moved.
Motion by Tom Dunn.
Second.
Second by Pete Hess. Any discussion on the matter? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving along. Next matter is item B, agency financial reports. Mike?
Thank you. So this is the financial report for period ending September 30th, 2022. We are 25% through the year. It did go out in the agenda packet earlier in the week, and I would like to apologize for the delay with the short turnaround time of the early meeting. We just couldn't get everything in time to balance the books. Nevertheless, the board adopted a balanced budget, but the current bottom line is $220,000 to the surplus, which I do project to converge to a balanced budget towards the end of the year. It is high now, as you know, the municipal dues and brownfield dues built in advance, and it gets all included in revenue up front. Other than that, there's been no reduction in funding sources. And we did receive 100% of the RSG funds, which usually we bill quarterly and don't end up getting the payments in December, November half the time. In terms of expenses, the major area is really legal. As we all know, the Kimmytown Dam, the expenses for that are high until we know if we're going to get the NOAA grant. But we did let the attorneys know, not incur any additional legal expenses that cannot be reimbursed by the grant. So we're hoping when we do get the grant, that we'll be able to bill 90 days
All right, great.
retroactively to help cover some of those costs.
Michael, if I may, Mr. Chairman,
Please.
I'll just let y'all know, minutes before we started the meeting, did get outreach from the federal agency on the grant, and they're setting up a meeting to go through and review our application in the next 2 weeks. So
do you foresee any difficulty in having that?
I
Don't know.
My hope is that we have a positive recommendation on at least some part of our grant by the beginning of the year at the latest.
Okay. Very good. Are you all set, Michael?
I mean, the only other last thing is, I do plan on having a revised budget in January. There has been some significant changes to the positive,
Okay.
that I think warrant adjusted budget rather than just letting it ride. So in January, that's something you guys could expect, probably have an executive meeting first, just to review it with the executive board, and then go for adoption, which technically y'all don't have to adopt it, but if you do, that option will be there.
Very good. Thank you. Do I have a motion on this?
So moved.
I'm done. Motion.
I'll second.
Second, Eddie. Thank you. Any further questions for Michael on the budget as it's been presented?
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to know, I had asked Michael, I've been bugging him to change the format of the report that's on the screen so people can actually see the highlights. The full packet and spreadsheet are in your packages. So everything is up there on the screen, the important stuff. But if you have questions, Michael can always answer them. But I appreciate it because I think this is.
And I would add to that, I think it makes it a lot easier to summarize and get all the highlights there. And then, as you so stated, if anybody wants to get down to the weeds, we have the packet and we can do so. Okay. Do I have a motion in a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Item number C, your report, Rick.
Sure, I'll make it as quick as I can. As Michael said, we're anticipating an executive committee meeting. I think in December, we'll have probably an audit committee, an executive committee, and potentially a revolving loan fund committee for our brownfields revolving loan. There's overlap between all three of those groups of people, so we're gonna try and coordinate it. It'll be sometime between Thanksgiving and well before the end of the year. So that, just to give you a heads up, you should be expecting invitations for those as soon as we can arrange something. Next month, you're going to be asked to approve the calendar for the following year. And just as with this year, we're a week early because of Veterans Day falling next Friday. Because it falls next Saturday next year, it's celebrated on Friday, and we're in the same situation. So one of the things I want y'all to think about is whether this works for you being a week early, or would you prefer to go a week later and would put us a week ahead of Thanksgiving?
How does it work for you guys?
Well, I mean, it's hard to get the financial reports done in time for a short week, because by the time the accounts close, the statements are in, the books close, it's Michael had a day.
I think whatever's better. What do you think, Mike? A week later?
I mean, that would be my preference, but
Your preference is a week later.
yes.
Okay,
But it also puts it closer to Thanksgiving. I don't know if that's a problem.
no problem. Whatever's easier for you guys. It's on the calendar.
All right.
Yeah. So I guess if everybody agrees and there's no other opinions on it, our recommendation would be, we need no motion on this, to go a week later for next year's calendar,
November, yeah.
for November calendar.
Yeah, when we give you the calendar next month to approve for the following year, it'll be that way.
So that'll be that way.
Yeah.
Very good.
Great, thank you.
Moving along.
On the, now moving on, the last thing that I want to get to, first of all, I really want to thank particularly the executive board, Merrill Leary, and first of all, from St. John, I have to thank for helping us make the case as we were having difficulty holding staff and keeping a good solid group of people together. You all know, you got some panicky emails from me over the spring and summer. I'm happy to say we are very, very close to full at this point. We have a couple of vacancies left. But again, this month we have some new employees. Unfortunately, one of them is already scheduled on vacation when we hired him. This was a day he could not make. But his name is Ken Byron. Ken's a former journalist at the Hartford Current and is working in our communications on public involvement operation. The second person I want to introduce is Stephen Perry. Stephen's down here. He's an environmental planner. Stephen formerly worked for First Select Woman DeBonis in Seymour. Prior to that, Mayor Stewart in Britain. Stephen has good project management skills and should be a great fit for us on environmental.
And he'll be working with Aaron.
We'll be working with Aaron and Ricardo. Right now, I've got him,
Okay.
I've got him working with Ricardo on some catch-up stuff, but we're pulling it all together. Yeah, he'll be working in that environmental work.
Okay.
And then online today, we have we've engaged an acting employee for now to take over some of the duties of John DeCarlo as we get into the legislative session and to work with the towns on municipal services. So I can't remember the title. I think it's regional policy and planning. But Drew Backlick, who used to work for the city of Derby, will now be working for us on an acting basis, hourly acting basis, but a full-time employee. He won't have an office. He'll be working mainly remotely or out of my office with this room. But I want to welcome Drew here today. He'll be with us at least through January, and then we'll revisit.
Okay, very good. And what capacity do you work for you?
Chief of Staff,
Okay, all right. Well, so he was up on legislative issues for you.
very competent, yeah.
Okay, excellent.
If you remember, Drew used to fill in here from time to time.
I just don't recall.
So I just wanted to make you aware of all of those. We still need to fill John's position permanently. We have a transportation planner position still open that we're have an idea of what to do. I have one other announcement, new employee who's an old employee. Those of you who remember Savannah Nicole Galva, who left us for the town of Simsbury, she will be returning to work for the COG. She'll work in the COG, not in the towns, which is what she did previously. She'll return as a senior planner, and she'll be running an interdisciplinary group working on housing planning and development along the region. So she'll be I have to tell you, and I apologize for taking a lot of time on this. Mayor O'Leary and I participated in the Hartford Business Journal Future of Economic Development discussion a couple weeks back. And one of the things that we got from developers, which really fits in with this, is that they don't feel like the ground is prepared for them in towns. They have to go in, they have to write the zoning, they have to put together the plan and then get the towns to adopt it, as opposed to other states where they go in, everything's already all laid out and all set up. So our plan here would be to put together something that works along the axis, the Bristol to Southbury axis, the Shelton to Thompson access, and to pull together some general plans, some model regulations. His timing, as usual, is perfect. Shelton has one of the good model plans for a planned development district, which allows developers to come in and negotiate directly with the town. So we'll be doing a lot of work around that and integrating. The idea here is to integrate the housing piece, the requirements that the state has put on the towns, along with the transportation piece and the environmental piece, all one comprehensive book. I'm really excited about being able to do that, and I'm really excited about having SN return to work for us.
So the intent will be to help coordinate with all the towns, or is the intent still for the COG to assist the towns? As
Just
opposed to,
It's up to the towns to adopt what they want. We're
Always.
gonna be, well, this will follow on from sort of the Route 8 corridor study for the automotive that we started with the train station,
Right,
stationary planning. And it'll develop regulations and model regs that towns could use and adopt to incorporate this and be ready for development, as opposed to have to go through a long process later on.
okay, very good. Thank you, Rick.
First of all, I'm thrilled to hear she's coming back. We really like her. But wasn't she also heavily involved in cannabis regulation?
No, I assigned her to cover the cannabis law for the COG. She and Keith wrote all the memos that advised your town attorneys and your town planners as to what the law impacts.
Okay, so on behalf of all the CEOs, I'd like to welcome all these new employees to our organization. We look forward to your active engagement and participation with us. Thank you very much for joining our team. All set, Rick?
I'm all set. Thank you, sir.
Very good. Regional Plan of Conservation and Development update. Joanna?
Hey, good morning,
Joanna?
everybody. Since you're all talking about coordinating development, the Regional Plan of Conservation Development also is another planning tool for that purpose. This is similar to your plans of conservation development in your towns that by statute, they have to be updated every 10 years. We are in the process right now of drafting our first NVCOG plan. We still have the vestiges of our previous COGs that we've been working from those plans. Just to let you guys know that we are in the process of speaking with land use departments. We have already visited at Planning and Zoning Commission meetings in Woodbury, Naugatuck, and Middlebury. And on the 15th, we're going to be visiting Derby and Oxford, and we're arranging meetings with other towns as well. So just wanted to give you a little update. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So just briefly, Joanna, so this is, we will be coordinating with all the towns so that we, how do I want to say, so that we meld together instead of conflict, correct?
We're looking at issues that cross municipal boundaries and coordinate and make development more efficient.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes is the short answer. Thank you.
Yes is a great answer.
I like yes. Anything further? Any questions for Joanna? Anyone? Okay, hearing none. Thank you, Joanna. You're still up though. So
I'm still up.
Yeah, emergency management, regional emergency planning team update, and then community emergency response team update. Please.
Thank you so much. So Division of Emergency Management and Homeland Security, they're almost close to fully staffed. What you should know is that they are planning on having a cybersecurity grant planning unit. And that's in anticipation of many cybersecurity grant opportunities coming in the near future. As far as the long-term recovery COVID-19, there has been an adult surge with COVID and flu. And as you know, on the pediatric side, respiratory syncytial virus, RSV, it is really stretching the pediatric hospitals with the RSV right now. As far as the regional emergency planning teams 5 and 2, on November 14th, REPT 5 will have its CEO meeting. And just to confuse you more, on the 15th, there's going to be a CEO crisis leadership seminar in Litchfield Hills. It's going to be as part of the Texas A&M Engineering Extension Service. And on November 16th, there's going to be another TEEX crisis management for school-based incidents in Watertown. And what you should all know that the school safety and security plans were due on November 1st. There have been freedom of information requests from media resources to identify non-compliant school districts. So you might want to figure out what your media strategy is. As far as also cybersecurity, there are in each of the REPTs an emergency support function being established specifically for cybersecurity. And I'll give you an example. In REPT 2, there's going to be a meeting of, and this is again on November 16th, IT and library directors, sending the invitation to health directors, in their case, the Coast Guard, because they are also coastal communities there. And altogether, there's about 40 individuals. And the whole idea is to put a SWOT analysis for submission in anticipation of DEMIS funding. And then finally, for the community emergency response teams, the CERT training day is tomorrow, November 5th. It begins at 7:30 a.m. and it's at the Connecticut Fire Academy in Windsor Locks. So thank you for your attention.
And thank you, Joanna. Does anyone here have any further questions for Joanna? We all have an understanding of what those opportunities are, correct? Very good. Thank you, Joanna. Thank you very much. Moving along, we are down to item number 6, NVCOG planning. Load SIP financial update. Rich?
Yes, thank you again. So just a quick update on the state of the LOTSIP program here in the region. You've all seen this chart. We've modified it a little bit just to show starting in the beginning of calendar year 2018, make it a little easier to read. And so after our cash flow coordination meeting with the department, as well as some adjustments to project budgets and project timelines, you'll see that our projected deficit has been pushed back by quite a bit into the beginning of fiscal year 26. The other things that this chart does not yet represent, the department is anticipating a larger LOTSIP grant being authorized by the legislature in the next several years. Of course, we don't know for sure just yet, but the anticipated amount is an additional $1.5 million to the region for each of the next couple of years. And so that clears up that deficit in 26 by itself. The other thing this chart does not yet represent is the just about $5 million in unexpended funds from completed projects. We have 14 completed projects in the region now, and we have been working closely with Vitali and the department's LOTSIP unit to begin a process to audit and close out some of those projects. That $5 million will also be returned into our program and be available for future projects. And so the short summary of this is, as always, we will continue to operate an open solicitation for projects. And we would like to make sure that we maintain a fully programmed LOTSIP program, and can continue to make the argument for additional funding as necessary and get projects done within the towns. So any ideas or concepts that are out there that you would like to examine as a LOTSIP project, please get in touch with us.
Thanks, Rich. Yeah, listen, I would encourage any of the CEOs here to inquire as to those kinds of locations which may well be eligible for LOTSIP funding in their communities. It really is a great program. I'll leave it at that. It's a great program. I know Thomason has benefited enormously, as has Woken, and there are probably other communities as well. Look into it. If you have questions as to what areas might be eligible, inquire at Rich, and I'm sure he'd be happy to give you that kind of information. Yes, sir.
Yes, I just wanted to know, I neglected to note, after we took attendance, we were additionally joined by Mark Ramo, first
Watertown.
town manager from Watertown. Also by Tommy Hyde from Naugatuck Valley Regional Development Corp. And Representative Cindy Harrison from Southbury, as well as Ellen Graham from Senator Blumenthal's office. I think I covered everyone now.
I would hope so. Welcome aboard, Mark. Good to see CEOs here.
We noted Mayor Loretti's attendance when he came in.
On time.
So we move on to item number, well, it's II under LOTSIP, and once again, this is going to be Karen and Kevin, and there's a resolution 2023-13 regarding LOTSIP that needs to be approved. It appears to me, and please quantify for me, it appears to me what we're seeking is an additional funding for the Beacon Valley Road project of $304,400. Is that correct?
You spit out a number, Mayor. That is correct. Yes. So, okay. So the cost increase for this project, as you noted, is due to additional drainage improvements that are needed as part of the project. The additional capacity was required after looking at the design. So, as you see on the screen, the recommended motion is to approve the cost increase for this project. And I'll take any other questions.
So they haven't started this project, have they?
No, this project is still in design.
Yeah, we've been talking about this for a long time, haven't we?
Yeah,
I'm
saying 1 year. I'm saying 1 year.
If it's only 1 year, that's
Hold
short.
on to your hat on these construction projects. They'll be here back 4 or 5 more times.
No,
This is the world we live in.
In fairness, First Selectman Smith is on the call. This was an emergency road closure, if you recall, on Christmas Eve.
No.
Oh, Beacon Valley Road.
Rick, this is,
I take everything back.
can you hear me?
Yes, we
That's
hear
what I
you.
was thinking of.
Yeah, I had some audio problems, so I apologize for not checking in before. That's Burton Road, Rick, what you're talking about. This is Beacon Valley Road. And the challenge on this one is this one's right up alongside the Cotton Hollow Brook. And they had some drainage issues because of the catch basins and the location of the road. So the change in this one was different from the delay of Burton Road, but I think we did get beyond all those challenges. And the increase was because of the drainage that needed to be moved around there.
Thank you, sir. I apologize.
You need a motion.
I'll make. I already had a motion from Tommy Dunn. Do I have a second?
I
Okay,
second.
got a motion by Tom Dunn, I got a second by Ed St. John. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Gareth. All right, moving to item B, approval of NVCOG resolution 2013 on-call engineer list extension. Karen?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. As you know, we maintain a list of engineering firms as our on-call list. There are 7 firms that have been on the list most recently. Primarily, we utilize the list to select firms to do the third-party reviews for lots of projects. Municipalities also have the ability to utilize the list to hire a firm to design their lots of projects, and a couple of the municipalities have done that. The current list had a 3-year term and has just expired at the end of October. And we have dusted off the RFQ, made some changes to it, and it is being advertised, I think, today. We're going to be putting it out live for request for proposal or request for
Yesterday.
qualification.
It went live yesterday.
Oh, yesterday, okay. To update the list again. And this was all discussed with TTAC at our recent meeting. And actually TTAC had some suggestions that we've incorporated into the RFQ. And so we're going to be starting that selection process. Probably will take a few months to get a new list of firms in front of you guys for approval. And so the recommended motion is to endorse the resolution to extend the current list for 6 months while we go through that process.
I'll make that motion, Chatfield.
Second. I have a motion and a second, Bob and Rich. Is that what?
Any question?
Go.
Any
Thank you.
question?
Any further questions?
Yeah.
Yes,
Karen?
I have,
Yes, please.
I have one.
I got two.
For Bob.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, are the current engineers that are on the list being notified that this RFP is out?
Yes, we're going to, after today's meeting, we're going to let them know that the current list is being extended. And also that a new RFQ has been put out, published.
Because I'm using one, I'd hate to have to change in the middle of the stream.
No, yeah, you wouldn't have to do that.
No.
Okay.
No need. Eddie,
Thank
please.
you.
Karen, a question I have is, this on-call engineering group that you use, would the communities, the towns like Middlebury be able to use those same groups? And it would avoid us going through this whole big crazy selection process that we have to go through with this, how that works. That could drag on for months too. So what I'm wondering is, could you make that list available to the towns? Because we're presently kind of looking around to look at some work going forward. Could you make that list available? Is that?
Absolutely. That's one of the discussions we've been having, is to sort of broaden the scope and the qualifications for the firms, so that originally it was sort of developed primarily for lot zip and, for the third-party reviews, and municipalities could hire someone from the list to design a lot zip project. But now we're thinking even a little broader than that, not necessarily just for lot zip purposes, but for the same type of engineering work, outside of lots of.
Karen, the big thing is that you're very familiar with the state's process of selecting engineering firms. I mean, this could go on forever. I mean, this whole selection process, but if this has already been, these people have been pre-qualified
Exactly.
based on your recommendations, the simple question, could that list be made available to all the Naugatuck Valley COG members so that we could look at that list? And maybe we want to go beyond that list, that's our call, but boy, that would certainly shortcut going through that bureaucratic process of trying to find an engineering firm for a $400,000 job.
Yes, we agree, and that's our.
Thank you.
But I would ask the question, Karen, if you have a pre-qualified list and then it's municipality select someone from that pre-qualified list, is that going to satisfy the state of Connecticut? If there's load SIP money on the table?
Yes.
Absolutely. We've
How
already
about
done
if
that.
there's private projects? How about if there's private projects that they might be
No,
utilizing,
for some
I don't know,
reason,
steep
I
grant or something?
And we're there to begin to look. at
I just don't want to see the town take for granted that, and
3 years ago.
I don't want to see the town take for granted that because they're selecting from a COG list, that it will satisfy the state of Connecticut in any other way, shape, or form. Because more often than not, they require you advertise and go out to bid.
So this, I'll give a direct answer to your question. It will satisfy any state or federal procurement for, most
RFQ, I
qualified.
should say.
The,
Probably people.
what you all need to worry about is whether it satisfies your local.
Well, that's
Bid
that's
and charter
fine. We
requirements.
can all figure
But
that out.
that's the only thing that matters.
It ties in.
Any state or federal program, this is in the QBS process, which means it's a quality-based selection
Right.
process. We don't negotiate fees. We only look at qualifications. The staff chooses and awards a short list of firms. And then when every project comes up, every firm on that list has the opportunity to submit a price.
Correct.
That's how it works.
Yeah, you negotiate price with UBS as opposed to.
Call the question.
Very good, I'll do that,
Question.
I'll do that, you've got that. We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
I guess it's gonna be in the 70s today.
It is. You wanna play golf, huh?
Great.
Member-
Me a bad guy because
Action plan, Richard Donovan.
Yeah, so we mentioned this at the last meeting and we'll be discussing at the next few as well. Our staff is in the middle right now of our every 4-year required update to our Metropolitan Transportation Plan. The big news for today that we wanted to share is we've been running a survey for the past several months, trying to get public feedback. And given the response we've received so far, we wanted to extend that out by another few weeks. And so the new deadline for the survey is going to be November 30th. Here's just a sample of some of the feedback we're getting, what people are talking about when we ask what they think about our transportation system. So one of the things that we've heard though is a lot of people are still hearing about this for the first time. We would really ask if any of you have municipal newsletters that you send out or any opportunity you have to communicate with members of your towns. If you could share this, we would really appreciate it. There's also a stack of postcards in the conference room, as well as many more here in my office. And so if anybody would like to bring them back and distribute them at town libraries, town hall, wherever you think is appropriate, we'd appreciate that as well. To date, we've had just a little bit more than 525 responses across our region and the MetroCog region. Our goal was to hit about 800 by the time we close the survey. And so we're hopeful we'll be able to get there by the end of November. As far as the MTP itself, we have finalized a lot of the technical details and are in the process right now of doing the update to the document on the qualitative side. And we'll hope to have a first draft of this done right around the middle of December that we will distribute to all of you for review, and we'll have a public engagement process on it, as well as a TTAC and board review process before we bring this forward either in February or March for final adoption.
Okay, thank you very much, Rich.
Yes, thank you.
We have a rather extensive one agenda here, so I'd like to move it as quickly as possible. Notice of funding opportunities. This is certainly important to every community. We started off with thriving communities. Elliot,
Thank you and good morning. I'll try to be brief, but I am providing an overview of Thriving Communities, which is a new USDOT program that the intent is to provide local leaders of specifically disadvantaged communities with information resources and technical capacity to be able to access and navigate federal funding. So it's not actually a funding program, but recipients will get 2 years of individualized technical assistance, kind of intended to support a better pipeline to access funding and create, community-driven transportation and revitalization activities. So to apply, you'd have to select a community of practice. There are 3, but any NVCOG application would fall into the complete neighborhoods area, which addresses coordination of transportation with land use, housing, and economic development strategies. And each area of practice comprises at least 10 technical assistance recipients from across the country. So the idea is to help facilitate peer learning on, a national scale and create multi-scale partnerships. Also, in order to apply, applicants must form a community partnership team with 2 other organizations. It could be another governmental organization, an NGO, community group. There's the options are kind of endless, to be honest. And the idea is that these groups will assist with the implementation and community engagement during the 2 years of the program. So like I said, it's not a funding program. So in order to apply, you'd submit a letter of interest that kind of outlines the needs and visions of what you would hope to get from the program. So NVCOG is potentially interested in submitting a regional application or letter of interest, rather. Yesterday, I sent out some information to the town's CEOs and TTAC members who would be eligible for this as disadvantaged communities or census tracts. The deadline is December 6th at 11:59.
thank you. So you already noted you sent out to those communities in our COG that would qualify.
Yes,
All right,
yesterday.
very
we sent out
good.
some
So then
information.
therefore, if we already have that information, we'll
Yep.
reach back and hopefully, I'll learn a little something. and
Yes.
Dip our hand in the till a bit. Transportation rural improvement. Kevin?
Thank you. So this is the Transportation Rural Improvement Program, also as TRIP. This is a Connecticut DOT program. This is specifically targeted at rural communities to provide transportation improvements along the roadways. So in our region, the towns that can apply are Woodbury and Bethlehem. So the projects can also only occur within rural areas. 50% of the population must be within these rural areas. Much like WhatsApp, the applications will come to us, and then we will be sending the application to DOT for review. So we can send one application from our region to the state to get approval. So if you're in Woodbury or Bethlehem, you have any projects in mind in your rural areas, send us a project and then we can vet it and then send it to DOT.
Okay, and you've contacted those communities too?
Yes, we have
correct, Kevin?
contacted.
Thank you very
months
much.
ago.
Item number 7. Environmental planning brownfield project. Ricardo?
Thank you. So as always, included in your agenda packet, you will find a brownfields status update, letting you guys know where we stand and currently with our brownfields. Also, I wanted to mention as a friendly reminder, NVCOG will be having the annual RVP meeting at the Madison Museum on November 30th at 10 a.m. If you haven't RSVP'd yet, please see myself or Christine to help you do so. Please share with your economic developers or any other person in your municipality that may be interested in attending. Other than that, I just wanted to share some good news from the city of Waterbury. NVCOG staff attended a groundbreaking event hosted by the city of Waterbury at the former Nova Dye Factory, 313 Mill Street. So they started the remediation activities over there and construction activities. Redevelopment will be a baseball stadium with a concession stand as well as a playscape park. So that's good for them. Moves for them. That's all I have.
Well, thank you, Ricardo. Certainly, you guys are doing a lot of work with Waterbury, and that's a good thing. Thank you. B, Aaron, are you with us? Climate
Yes.
Resilience Fund?
Yes, thank you. So as I reported last month, Department of Energy and Environmental Protection has announced a new Climate Resilience Fund grant program that's intended to create a project pipeline of resilience type projects. There's currently $10 million available in 2 tracks. Track 1 is will fund new resilience planning and community engagement. And track 2 will fund preliminary design, engineering studies and analysis, costing, and public outreach for resilience projects that have already been identified in an existing plan. The program won't fund design or construction, but it will fund all the steps following identification of a project that are needed to make a successful application for federal programs. And it'll fund the development of funding applications as well. So you all received a memo from us a few weeks ago with program details and a list of potential projects that we pulled from various existing plans, like the new hazard mitigation plans. We also asked for interest from municipalities for potential projects for a regional application. And our idea for a regional application is to package several smaller drainage related projects, like a lot of the ones that are in the hazard mitigation plans, into one regional application. And if we receive funding, the COG would contract with a consultant or several consultants that would work directly with the municipalities to advance those projects and also to develop applications for federal funding to implement them. So we've received quite a bit of interest, and we have a list of good projects that we are working through right now to try to put together a scope and budget for a regional submission. So we'll be reaching out to everybody who submitted projects the next couple of weeks for more information as we develop our application. So there's no local match required from the municipalities, but DEEP will require a commitment letter from the towns saying that they will cover local share for whatever funding source or federal program that they eventually get implementation funding through. We held the virtual information session on October 19th, and the recording of that meeting is posted on our YouTube channel if you'd like a more thorough explanation of the program. And I'm also happy to take any questions right now on that.
Do you happen to know what the match would be for the local?
What was that again?
You happen to know what the match would be from local?
So for most of the federal programs, to like BRIC or the hazard mitigation funding through FEMA, I believe most of them are 25% local. That would be for design and construction. But for this grant right now, there's no local match. So it'll all be state funding that would fund this.
Thank you. Any questions for Aaron? Item C, national culvert removal.
So this is a closely related issue. So Federal Highway Administration announced $200 million in funding under the bipartisan infrastructure law for the Culvert Aquatic Organism Passage Program. The program was originally identified in the infrastructure law as the National Culvert Removal, Replacement, and Restoration Grant Program. So, we were really looking forward to that program as an opportunity to replace undersized or failing culverts for flood risk or for, whatever other reasons you would want to replace them. But the program that was announced by FHWA is really heavily focused on removing current obstacles to migratory fish passage. So in our region, the opportunity is really limited to structures below major obstacles on the tributaries of the Naugatuck or Housatonic rivers. So we're working right now with Deep Fisheries and our nonprofit partners to try to identify potential target projects in our region. So there's probably very few of them, but if there's one in your town, we'll be reaching out soon to let you know that you might have a potential project. And there's an 80-20 federal local share on that program. So we will be in touch.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. Unfortunately, yeah, not a lot of us can benefit from that. Sustainable, item D, sustainable materials management. Christine?
Hi, good morning. So NVCOG sustainable waste management efforts continue as we guide the communities of Ansonia, Woodbury, and Seymour through their SMM pilot planning. We have our new environmental planner, Katie Schlick, here. She's been wonderful so far. We're both excited to support the rollout of these pilot programs through the winter. Katie and I are also working on education and outreach to the entire region about the waste crisis. So details about SMM progress are in a memo in your packet. I don't want to keep you too long, but of course, I am always happy to talk about your garbage. So if you have any questions or concerns, please let me know.
Anybody, anything for Christine? Thank you. Moving along, item E, Kingstown Dam. I don't know if we need an executive session.
Oh, yeah.
Certainly an update.
Yeah,
Brief update.
just quickly, as Michael said, we've instructed the attorneys not to incur any additional costs on this unless they're reimbursable under the grant. We do have a look back, once the grant's awarded, we have a 90-day look back to reimburse costs. Where the project stands right now is there's a term sheet in the current owner's hands from us. We're waiting for signature on that term sheet and we'll proceed from there. Once that happens, it'll largely be the land bank's issue. It will not be NVCOG's issue, although NVCOG will continue to manage the funding, any grant funding that comes in for the project. So no liability, but we have control of the dollars.
Okay. Okay, very good. Thank you. Anything there? Moving along. Is there anything other from this body today? Anyone? Anything other whatsoever than a motion to adjourn, Mr. Dunn?
Absolutely. So moved.
And I got a second. Well, I got seconds everywhere. That's not a problem. All in favor? Thank you very much. Great meeting. Thank you all.
Well,